In our very last episode, we asked the question, are Ethereum ETFs around the corner? Well, just one day later, the SEC surprised everyone by approving the very same. Turns out it wasn't around the corner, it was just the next step down the road. So what does this mean for the future of Bitcoin and all the other cryptos? Donald Trump goes crypto positive, WorldCoin faces biometric data scrutiny, and the beloved Shiba Inu, who has been the face of Dogecoin since day one, has gone to doggy heaven. We've got all kinds of news and a variety of views, things you can use, and maybe some you can't. It's all right here on our Bad News, episode number 728 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
Travis Wright, it is a day for rejoicing and some sadness, such as life, right?
Sounds like life to me, good sir. I mean, the world keeps on spinning and people keep on living, and then they live until they die. And that happens to animals as well, unfortunately.
Yep. And we'll talk about that, but we've got all kinds of news we want to cover with you. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in and refreshify on CoinGecko.com. It is 3:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 28th of May, and it's hard to believe we're almost halfway through this year already. The total crypto market cap, $2.7 trillion. Bitcoin just hanging out. It's been bouncing between high 67s and mid 69s. Right now, 68,072. Ethereum hitting as high as 3,900 or so yesterday, currently at 3,807. BNB, $600 even. Solana, 168. XRP, 52 cents. Dogecoin, 16.3. And Toncoin wraps up the top 10 at $6.46.
Yeah. And here we are, my dude, still this last week, if you look at it, up 35%, dog with hat, up 30%, crazy. There's another token called Ondo, O-N-D-O, which I've not seen before, which I'll need to do some research on that one. That was the first time I've had that on my radar. Floki, another meme coin, up 34%. Bonk, meme coin, 32%. Pepe, up 26%, although in the last month, it's been up 110%. And there's some other book of meme, that token, 20%. It's just crazy seeing all these meme coins. Like, people love the meme coins, and they don't do shit. And so it's weird. How long until we're going to have the Pepe ETF or dog with hat ETF?
Well, I think that will be the sell signal, right? When if we get along that far, that is like the huge red
oh my
light.
God, it's the whiff ETF. Like, no.
It's a whiff TF. A whiff TF. Checking out the
that's good. WTF, WIF. I like that.
Market sentiment 72 greed right now. Bitcoin dominance at 50.2%, same as last week. Last week we're in extreme greed, down a little bit right now, and looking forward to seeing the new video that's going to come out from Plan B here on June 1st to see if everything is tracking with the dots exactly as he thinks it is. I think the vibe is still that it's going to happen fast and furious when it happens, Trav.
You think it's going to go pop, pop, and boom, boom, and there it is?
Pop,
and
pop.
We're going to be like, oh my God. Because you remember that in 2017 when we first started the show, I think Bitcoin was right around, if I'm not mistaken, 1,500, something like that. And then it was like, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. And like someday you'd be like, whoa. I think we're getting close to that time, Joel, where we're going to see Bitcoin popping $5,000-$10,000 a pop in a day. You're gonna be like, what? Bitcoin up $9,000 a day? What? Like, it just seems like we're not that far away.
I tend to agree with you, and there are people who are issuing warnings to the world saying, pay attention. This dude right here, his name is Gabor Gerbak, strategic advisor at Tether and VanEck, has taken to social media to send an important message to countries with weakening fiat. He's saying that no fiat can replace the weakening US dollar, but Bitcoin can. He sees it as the leading alternative to the fiat currencies around the world. And of course, El Salvador did it back in 2021. And we've got a story coming up here in a little bit talking about Argentina perhaps patterning themselves after that. It's definitely not going to be, El Salvador is not going to be the last. They will always be the first, but they will not be the last.
Yeah. Gabor Gurbax, he says that not holding Bitcoin is irresponsible. And he thinks that these countries need, and the central banks need to diversify their reserves with Bitcoin to really strengthen themselves. But a lot of these central banks would rather have their own central bank digital currency, which nobody really wants. Like,
No.
I mean, that's what's the most irresponsible is these governments saying we want you to have a CBDC. And programmable CBDCs are so scary because they're programmable in a way that they can expire. Or maybe, Joel, it's like, hey, we don't want you drinking beer at this bar, so you can't actually use your CBDC here at these establishments. Right. Only these approved only these approved ones within this 15-minute city zone that you're approved for. And if you don't use it all by the end of the month, it's going to expire. And that should frighten everyone.
Read the hat.
Yeah.
Read the hat. Privacy. I want privacy. I want privacy.
Are you having a worldwide privacy tour?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So, the ETF, Ethereum ETF, got announced just the day after our episode released. And there's an interesting opinion piece on CoinDesk that you can take a look at. In fact, all of the links from this episode are in the show notes at badco.in/728. And so, why do you think that this happened so quickly, Trav?
Well, the CEO of BlackRock has been talking about these kind of things, right? And so I think when, if you talk about who has the biggest swinging dick in finance, it's probably BlackRock at this time, right? The big black rock plopping down on the table saying, hey, we need to approve this. And, I'm not a fan of BlackRock by any stretch of the imagination, and they are coming in, and a lot of this money that's going to go into the ETFs could go directly into the tokens, which would make more sense to me. But this is a way that the E-Trade babies and the Motley Fools can dip their toe into crypto through something that seems regulated in their minds. So now they know, oh, Ethereum, Bitcoin, okay, the traditional finance is saying that this is valuable, so I guess we feel comfortable with it. Why do I think it happened? It's probably something political, dude. I mean, because they were against it, vehemently against it. Oh, Ethereum's a security. So what does that mean now? Is Bitcoin, is Ethereum still going to be viewed as a security? And if so, then how does that, impact the ETF? And then what about Solana and Cardano and
Dog with hat
and all these ETFs down the road?
Well, the last week we talked about a bill that passed the House, which would ease the government's, stranglehold on crypto. And I think that they might be waving the white flag here, because even though the Biden White House, I don't think that Biden actually knows what crypto is. The White House officially opposes the bill, but he says he wouldn't veto it. So if the Senate manages to pass a bill as well, and the House and Senate agree, then this is going to be a nice move forward for it. And it's important to remember that ETFs are not actually live yet. This clears the way for ETFs to list once the firms like BlackRock and Fidelity and Grayscale get their filings approved. We could be months down the road on that, or who knows, that could happen quickly as well.
Yeah, I did read, Joel, that once the ETFs get rolling, that should propel Ethereum up to a perceived price point, potentially around $6,500 per Ethereum, which seems to me that that might be a low estimate, because didn't Ethereum hit almost around 5,000 in the previous cycle?
It's like 4,800. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would tell me that maybe 10,000 is the pop on that one down the road. And I was surprised, actually, Joel, to not see more of a pop when that news popped out. Crypto did a little, and then it was like, not really, it didn't do anything big. And initially. Now I think Bitcoin kind of did the same thing. Bitcoin got approved. It kind of did a little pre-pop, but then it kind of went down, and then it did a do. So we might be right there on the precipice of the do.
I think we're in a classic consolidation, like post having consolidation. This happens all the time, right? The things go up a little bit as the halving approaches, and then it consolidates and sometimes pulls back a little bit. So people take profits, and then several months out, like we're looking at the late fall is typically when this thing happens. And, you asked the question, what does it mean for Solana and other chains? And this article addresses that as well. Where does it all end here? This is really just the beginning of it. And I'm here for it. I'm glad to see it.
Yeah, this is a little Guns N' Roses. Where do we go now? Oh, where do we go? Crypto.
So who's Bernstein? Bernstein puts out this report, says that they suggest 100 billion in the next 2 years into ETFs, and they're expected to grow to 450 billion in total. I think it's possible that it'd be more than that once these things find their true value over the long haul. They, I guess Bernstein is a they, use the right pronouns here, say they expect 150,000 in 2025 and a year-end price target of 90,000 this year.
All right. Well, let's see. It's always weird because, looking at some of the charts and some of the trend lines and whatnot, it's like every other time that Bitcoin hit its all-time high, which was always after a halving. So we hit the all-time high a couple months before the halving, which is weird. I think it's all because of the ETFs. But traditionally, every time that it's hit that all-time high, what happened was we had 9 or 11 months in between the top of that cycle. So if that's the case, then the top of the cycle would be in December of this year. But because of how it got pushed forward a little bit, and then maybe we're going to so we had a little maybe it was just like a little premature, celebration there before the halving with the ETFs. And now we're getting ready to go into the big bull run. And is that going to last more than 11 months? Because if so, that would buck the historic trend of Bitcoin. 11 months is the absolute most that they've ever had when you reach that previous all-time high. We've already passed 69,000. We've gone up to 74,000, and it's gone back down. So we're in a weird anomaly.
It wasn't a huge push past the all-time high. It just did it by a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't see a baboom. So I think that, did we hit a new all-time high? Yeah, but kind of barely.
It's kind of, if you look at the charting of it and you go back to the all-time high of 69,000, whatever, 69,420 bucks, I think was as close as they wanted to get. That's what they like to say. And then right before that, remember there was that, and then the price had gone down. It hit 66,000 or 67,000, and then it did a huge dump, and then it popped back up to 69. And we like, oh, dude, it's still on. And then went, and then it tanked. So you look at that 67, the 69, the 74, that's kind of a triple top. Was what some people were saying. Is like, oh no, now it's going to tank. And it's like, no, it's not. But historically, it looks like a big triple top, but crazy. It's hard to gauge these things.
So, we mentioned Argentina, and they want to learn from El Salvador now that President Milei is leading the country, and I guess they're just cracking down on crime. In fact, off the record, before the show, you told me that something happened there. Or was that El Salvador?
No, that was in El Salvador that happened. And they just don't play around. They heard about some gang violence popping up in a neighborhood. And El Salvador's president just sent out the military to go squash that shit real quick.
Like, oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, no, you didn't. Hey, all you criminals, you need to go to America. And
right. So you're all welcome here.
You got to go through the border because we don't want you here in El Salvador, but America loves you, apparently.
And here's your voter registration. Make sure you check
here's your amnesty and your voter card.
Yep, and your health care.
Too many people, please. Okay.
Never mind those U.S. citizens that are all homeless. We got you guys covered. That's all you
don't worry about that.
So, it appears that Malay and Argentina is becoming more Bitcoin friendly. The regulatory environment there is such, and they're looking at El Salvador and saying, hey, we want to strengthen ties with the Republic of El Salvador, and therefore we're going to explore the possibility of signing collaboration agreements with them. And of course, El Salvador has the Citizenship by Bitcoin investment program. If you got into that when they first announced it, Trav, it was around, Bitcoin was around 15,000. It was at that low. You could have bought your citizenship, lifetime citizenship to El Salvador, and had a passport for $45,000. It's $1 million now.
Damn, bruh.
Yeah.
Well, this is interesting because, the National Securities Commission of Argentina, they did, and they said, hey, what's going on over here with your Bitcoin adoption? What are you guys doing over here? And so they've now put together a crypto regulatory approach that's going to include Bitcoin mining facility and then also registration requirements for crypto firms. And they are all in on decentralization. So you got to love that. There's more and more countries that are going to be doing this. And those are the ones I think in this post-dollar economy, as we're etching ever closer to the cliff, right? When you can just print as much money as you want and then give it away as much as you want, then why are they doing taxes? It doesn't make sense. It's just an illusion at this point. And so, that's why we've been fans of crypto. We want to understand it to make sure that there wasn't nefarious actors coming in and doing stuff that we thought may be bad, which we learned. Oh, CBDCs. If we hadn't heard and dove in 7 years ago and doing bad crypto, I would have thought, oh, CBDCs, that sounds like a great idea. I probably wouldn't have, but I mean, most people probably would. And now it's like, the more you know, the more you realize that, fiat currency ain't it. I learned that in 2000 and I was like, what? What do you mean they print money out there? What? Nuh-uh. It's backed by gold. What? It's not? Oh, what? And so what a rabbit hole this has been, Joel Comm.
So one of the reasons it's suspected that Bitcoin is down a little bit over the past day or so is because the Mt. Gox holdings of 107,000 Bitcoin were transferred into a wallet, and people are like, okay, they're probably preparing to sell these as part of the creditor repayment plan. And so people are like, okay, that means it's going to go down, because we hit just over 70,000. We hit as low as 67,680. And I think, the market responded with a kind of okay, man, we're not happy about it. But the sooner they unload them and get rid of it, the better. That's my expert
and what's
opinion.
Mm-hmm.
always so we do 140,000 Bitcoin or something, right? And then think about the people who are like, yeah, I put $300 in, I had I had a Bitcoin. Well, now you're going to get your $300 back, but you're not going to get your Bitcoin back, most
Right.
likely, right? That's just such a crock of shit when you think about it. And when did that hack happen? Like 2013 or something like that?
14. Yeah.
2014, 10 years ago. And you're going to say you got zero, you're going to have zero amounts of, no gains, baby. But here's your $300 back. I would be so pissed. I'd be like, dude, I should have a Bitcoin. No, you do. You have your $300. Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yeah.
Better nothing, I guess.
Off with you, right? You should be happy. So, we've referenced Michael Saylor many times on the show, and I do believe he's one of the smartest guys in the room. And I remember a talk I saw him give recently, and he predicted that the SEC would not approve the Ethereum ETF. But he said if it did happen, it's the reason that many enterprise organizations are on the sidelines and not putting Bitcoin in their portfolio, because it could be that confusion, in the market. What is the coin? Well, I do like when people are able to evaluate the landscape and change their tune. And now he is saying that the Ethereum ETF approval is good for Bitcoin. So he's embracing, and I'm wondering if this means that he's going to start locking some Ethereum into the portfolio there at MicroStrategy.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting that we didn't really cover initially when talking about the Ethereum ETF is I think that most of the ETFs they're set up in a way that doesn't allow them to stake their Ethereum. So you can have Ethereum in the ETF, but you can't stake it. So they can't earn more off of it, because they could get to the point where they got, a few million Ethereum, right? But they're not able to stake it. And so that creates that I think that's smart. You shouldn't allow them to do that. Because then they would get all the ETF. But then again, the ETF, if it took those stake tokens and then took those rewards and then brought them back into the ETF, it could make the ETF more valuable. So it is
So
interesting to pay attention to it.
he says, I think it's good for Bitcoin. It may be better for Bitcoin because we're politically much more powerful when supported by the entire crypto industry. I like that. He says Ethereum spot ETFs serve as an additional layer of defense for Bitcoin, and he predicts that mainstream investors will allocate a portion of their portfolios to crypto, with Bitcoin being number one, and then they might allocate a smaller percentage to a different crypto, or maybe
it allows them to dip their toes in, Joel, which is nice. They're going, okay. And so this is what I've noticed from interviewing these E-Trade babies and Motley Fools is they like the idea of Bitcoin. But they've been indoctrinated for so long, telling them that it's horrible. Oh, it's being used by criminals. And so, they always thought, oh, it's bad. Oh, well, now it's a financial instrument. I can invest. Oh, now there's Ethereum. Okay, well, what other ones are out there that I want to know about, right? And so I think the fact that there's more than just one, it's going to make people go, well, man, there's how many stocks are there different, stock tickers? What other one should I get into that's going to be? Oh, Solana's come. Oh, what is it? What's Ripple? What are these? And so I think that the projects that are on Robinhood and the projects that are on Coinbase, those are the ones that'll probably be the bigger winners over time as more of these E-Trade babies and Motley Fools come over and start dipping their toe in. Those retail investors start dipping their toe in, because those are what you can buy in America, the ones that are on those platforms.
Unless you are into the meme coins, because as we referenced looking at CoinGecko, meme coins are dominating the charts right now, taking 4 out of the top 10 spots. 1,000 Pepe, Doge, 1,000 Bonk, Dog with Hat, Pepe. There are so many of them, and there's a lot of interest in these. And I think that this whole meme coin thing comes from the desire to get rich quick, right? People, it's gambling. It truly is gambling, because most of these things are not going to go anywhere in the long run. Some of them will have their niche audience, but I mean, this is crazy. Dogecoin, Floki, Dog with Hat, all surged, opening into the market yesterday, and people are into the memes.
Well, they're saying that anytime that GameStop has had a rally, often after that comes these rise in meme coins. And so we're seeing huge gains in those dog related ones, which is interesting to me because the guy who was really propelling GameStop and AMC was Keith Gill, who was Roaring Kitty.
Mm-hmm.
But why are these dog memes going so big and not cat memes? Like, have we even seen one cat meme reach $1 billion market value yet? And what the hell's up with that?
I don't know, and I don't care. I think it doesn't really matter.
We should come up with one called Bad Pussy. And it's like a bad cat, and it's like,
oh my gosh. So look at this. This is GameStop is really interesting as a stock. If we go to the last 3 months, Roaring Kitty started posting when it was around $17 or so. It went up here to $65 and then came crashing down to under 20. So right here, this is where retail got wrecked. And I'm like, if I'm Roaring Kitty and I know that I can move a market just by posting a meme, tell me I'm not buying right here and then selling right here, right?
But he's got diamond hands. Apparently, they watch his wallet. He doesn't sell.
Well, so I mean, let's face it. The people who saw that this coming, regular people, regular investors are the ones who got hurt right here. And this is why it's gambling, pure and simple. Like, you're just. And you know who probably sold at the top? GameStop. I think there's a filing. They got like $900 million, right? Because they're like, hey, our stock is flying. We're taking cash out to run operations.
Yeah,
to pay our CEO.
They should do that every few months. It's like have a pop. Like, all right, here we go. And like, what kind of benefit is it to them to be a meme? Essentially, they're a meme stock at this point, right? Because I don't even know if there's any GameStops around. There's very few. It's almost like Blockbuster at this point. And why do you need it with Steam and the ability with your Xboxes to download
Mhm.
games and downloads that you don't? So they got to they really need to reimagine their business model. But I guess as long as Keith Gill is out there pimping them, I guess you're still good.
Well, as long as we're talking meme coins, this would be a good time for a moment of silence. The Shiba Inu, who inspired the Doge meme and was the face of Dogecoin, has passed away. Kabosu had died at the age of 18 after getting sick, as you know, an 18-year-old dog is like to do, which is why he is, for those of you watching the video version, commemorated behind me in the classic pose. Much dog. Thank you, Kabosu,
Yeah.
for the memes.
He's an old Doge now, right? And so, but he became pretty popular back in 2010, which created that whole thing. And what was interesting was the Doge meme itself sold as an NFT back in the day for $4 million. I wonder what that's worth now. Probably way less than that, because NFTs typically seem to decrease in value over time. But yeah, the legacy of Kabosu will live on and on. And you know what? I want to know how many crypto people now own a Shiba Inu.
Right. Oh, I'm sure.
Because think
Yeah.
about it, Dogecoin and Shiba Inu, both of those tokens are billion-dollar valuations, multi-billion-dollar valuations.
Right. And
That
what
one
name?
dog led a revolution, bro.
Tell me that there aren't Shiba Inus called Satoshi, out there as well. I guarantee it. Vitalik in the news. We've got best of bad crypto coming up over the next few weeks, and one of the interviews I want to revisit is with Vitalik Buterin to see if what he was saying back in 2020 still rings true today. He's saying that the crypto community is right to redefine inflation as an increasing currency supply challenges traditional economic definitions. And he's saying that we're not going to let the world butcher what inflation means, because they have changed it from rising costs to high prices. And that is not what inflation means. No thoughts?
No, they wouldn't even say they wouldn't even say we were in a recession. Like, oh no, it's not no.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're probably in a depression at this point, really. But it's so weird. It's like how everything is propped up, Joel. And the stock market hit 40,000 not long ago, right?
Mhm.
Like what? We're things are more expensive than ever. So it would make sense that the stock market, I guess, would increase in value too if everything's increased in value. But the real intrinsic value of it increase, or did it just increase because the dollar's worth less?
Everything's fine, Trav. There's don't worry about it. Like people
Yeah.
have jobs. They're not paying more for groceries. Just
Yeah.
accept the gaslighting and move on.
Yeah,
Don't
and by the
complain
way,
about
though,
it.
this was posted by Buterin on Farcaster, which you guys have not played around with Farcaster.
Mm-mm.
That is a crypto related social media platform, and so kind of like Noster, but Farcaster is its own deal. So
I have Fartcaster. You just
that's true, and
broadcast.
you've been doing that for a long time.
15 years of fart casting. So speaking of politics, 1/3 of US voters say they will weigh candidates' crypto views before voting. More and more people are showing interest in crypto, and 77% think a US presidential candidate should know crypto. Now, Trump is the one who came out at the Libertarian National Conference and said that he will take crypto donations and that he will support the U.S. in the crypto industry so that jobs and technology and innovation don't go offshore. I don't know how much he actually understands. Like who knows what he actually understands, but
Yeah.
I think that somebody got his ear enough to say, hey, this is what's happening and this is the new money. And I know it's not like it's always been, but the world's changing and you need to pay attention to this.
Yeah, so 44% of voters think crypto and blockchain technology are the future of finance, and it says here that 52% more are more likely to invest if the field gets more regulation.
Mhm.
So, well, here's a couple new financial instruments. And again, going back to BlackRock, the CEO Larry Fink said that, real world assets, that's going to be the biggest play, because there's trillions and trillions of dollars that are illiquid. Like, like even Trump, he's got his big Trump Tower, right? Well, it's not liquid. But if he had, maybe those were set up into 10,000 NFTs, and each NFT was worth 1/10,000th of the value of that building, then it could potentially be liquid, right? Apple stocks, having them being liquid, so you could actually trade them 24 hours a day instead of just from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., right? Monday through Friday, which is weird. With technology now, and blockchain specifically, and all these DEXs out there, you don't need a window. You need 24 hours a day. You should be able to trade whenever. And so the real world assets, I think, Joel, is as we dive into this, those are going to become, security tokens and real world assets and those types of things. Fractional NFTs of those real world assets is going to be invaluable. And that's where we're going to see a shift from, the crypto market being 3 trillion to 10 trillion to then becoming $100 trillion in value, because all those real world assets get popped up in there.
So Trump has promised to support the right to self-custody and to keep Elizabeth Warren away from the 50 million crypto holders. And he says that he would never allow the creation of a CBDC. All good sounding stuff. If true, there's one other thing that he said, which is of special interest to the crypto community and to our audience. He said that he would commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence if elected. Of course, Ross was the founder of Silk Road and sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years for creating the darknet marketplace. And we are also in the coming weeks going to revisit the interview that we've done with his mother, Lynn, who is leading the charge to free Ross. And boy, I'd like to see that happen. I think, the dude's been 10 years. I think he's done his time, and he can now be a productive asset for good in society rather than creating a marketplace where people sell drugs and weapons.
Well, he's also talked about, Julian Assange and giving him a part. And here's the thing that I don't like about Trump is that, dude, you could have fucking done all of that in your first term, bro.
You blew it. You blew it.
You sucked, dude. You didn't drain the fucking swamp, right? You had you hired swampy people all throughout your administration, right? And you said you didn't like crypto, and then you got out of office and you did an NFT series, right? And so it's like, there's some things that frustrate me. Like he had the opportunity, and I think Ross Ulbricht's sentence to time served, it should be good now, right? Especially if the fact that SBF, who laundered billions and stole billions of customer value, he only got 20 years, right? And then Ross gets 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Like, that judge is a dick. Whoever said that, like, seriously, it needs to be reevaluated. And for him still being there rotting Ross should not be happening.
Totally agree with you, sir. From the AI world, we've talked in the past about WorldCoin, which is the coin created by Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. The goal of the project was to create a global financial and identity network based on proof of personhood. However, they are now facing scrutiny over the data that they are collecting, biometric data in particular, and privacy. Privacy is what I'm saying. Over 5 million people have scanned their irises via a silver sphere resembling a bowling ball, and they got paid for that. They got paid some world for that, but people are concerned what is going to happen with this data.
Dude, it's like this, is that why would we trust Sam Altman at this point, right? Like his people they're leaving OpenAI in droves right now because they say, well, OpenAI doesn't care about privacy at all. And it's just really weird, the amount of information that they're pulling in. It's just, AI is weird right now because, I mean, I saw this the other day. This was one, I think I posted it on my Facebook, or my Facebook, I'm never on Facebook, my Instagram. It said, some guy was like, hey, I have depression. And then Google's AI came out and said, well, one thing you could do is jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. As one Reddit user suggests, like, why would you even put in Reddit's information from their database into your AI? Most of it's bullshit, right? And I know that OpenAI is not doing that. That's a Google thing. Google's AI is completely foobar, dude. It's done. Like, you can't even trust that shit. And then you're having all this other stuff happening with OpenAI, which is creating a lack of trust. And then so they expect us to trust the WorldCoin token too by the founder of OpenAI. Like OpenAI, ChatGPT is one of the most amazing technologies I've ever seen, bar none. But it's so biased, Joel. It's like it's literally lying to us, and they're programming it to lie to us instead of tell the truth.
That's just another conspiracy theory. Sir Lord Travis.
Actually, Elon Musk even said that, and he said that's why Grok, the one we're building, which he actually just got a huge amount of funding at a $24 billion valuation, got an additional $6 billion in funding for what he's building. And I would way more trust that than I would any other platform.
Well, listen, we have taken up enough time of our listeners right now. There's two more stories that we had in the show notes that you can check out really quickly if you care. That Iggy Azalea, whoever that is, I guess an Australian artist, distanced herself from a scammer's $300,000 meme coin. And Tom from MySpace is back and gave an interview. Links to that in the show notes. And we appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us today. And the next 3 episodes are going to be flashbacks to previous times with interviews that we think are relevant. And so you're not going to want to miss these, because listening to what was said then and evaluating what it looks like now will help in developing your hindsight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have 20/20 vision looking backwards.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, Bitcoin used to be not very much, and now it's way more.
Now it's more. So we're going to look backwards as we look forward. And in the future, we think we are still going to tell you to stay bad.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.